sharing of our concerns pertaining to issues confronting the state and the people on a daily basis, because as we are in the western part of the state, it becomes difficult to connect. But nevertheless, whenever we are in the state capital, it's always a privilege. I hope the media house become more vibrant, stronger, to expand its network, to have better reach across the state. And that definitely is a challenge that will require lots of collective resolve to make that happen. Because democracy is vibrant only when the fourth estate is vibrant, is the truth.
So the district council election is coming in August. So what is the TMC is planning to do?
Yeah. I hope the government notifies the election immediately, because as you are aware, last year the election was held in March, ending April, and the term that is usually the 5-year term is closing now. It's become necessary for all the political parties to definitely prepare for the election, and TMC is participating. The party has already invited applications from aspiring candidates. And there are certain internal discussions we are embarking upon. We are continuing this discussion, and we will definitely have a strategy in respect of this GHDC election. It is very important for us to understand the political dynamics that unfold after every election in respect of autonomous district council. Because unlike in the state legislature and the parliament, the provision of the 10th schedule does not apply to the members of the autonomous district council. Therefore, it has become very necessary for the political party, as far as we are concerned, to look at people who are connected with the core values, with the true spirit of joining politics and being in public life to serve the people and protect the interests of the people and the state. That must be the priority. So we will have exhaustive exercise to zero down on such people, because you have seen in the past, many of our elected members of the district council were victims of poaching, political poaching. It has become more frequent and more aggressive than ever before, which is a concern for every citizen. It just nullifies the mandate. It just is in contradiction and the defeat of the mandate that people keep. Therefore, in the true spirit of our democracy, every political party, I believe, must understand, though despite the absence of the provision of 10th schedule, to value and respect the mandate of the people. We have done so in the past. I have led by example. You will recall, if you reconnect with the past, that every time when there was a mandate in respect of guards, autonomous district council or KHDC or JHDC, we have, while being in power, while we have the privilege of running the state government, we have never tried to topple any executive committee in autonomous district council, because we adhere to the core values of democracy. We understand that the responsibility of leaders who lead the political parties must understand the values associated with our democratic system and respect the mandate of the people. And this is precisely what we have done. We could have toppled all those ECs which were led by other political parties while we were in government. We did not do it. In respect of Garo's Autonomous District Council, you will see, even though we were in the government, ECs were led by NPP. In 2000, I believe it was 16, yes, 16 or 15, it was led by Mr. Dinam T. Sangma, as the CM. Subsequently, similar thing happened. So we respect the mandate of the people, but in view of what is the prevailing situation in respect of the ADCs, it has become necessary for the people of the state to come together. Even as I say that it is the need of the hour for people to come together in restoring the glory of ADCs and restore the power that they can befittingly respond to their call of duty in as far as the responsibility vested upon ADCs are concerned, as per the mandate of the Constitution. Today, if we look at the development that has unfolded in the preceding years, how can anybody presume and assume that the ADCs can function when their employees are not paid salaries continuously for 43 to 44 months? It has never happened in the past, in the history of Meghalaya. This itself reflects the priority of the people in authority, whether the authorities were vested with the responsibility of running the affairs of the ADCs or whether the people who are vested with the responsibility of running the state. You have to understand that the constitutional provision is such that in order to ensure that the interests of the Sidhu tribes are taken into cognizance in the right perspective of the mandate of the Constitution, the provisions enshrined in the Constitutions are self-explanatory. I have always referred to Article 275(1). What does it say? That the Parliament shall earmark an adequate amount of fund charged on the consolidated fund of the union government. Charge. It is not voted. That means it is understood as to how much is needed. And this particular fund is earmarked in order to ensure that wherever we have the 6 scheduled areas, the programs which are to be designed and implemented for the welfare of the tribals must be adequately provided with in as far as the fund requirement for each intervention is concerned, including augmenting the level of governance and administration of the 6 scheduled areas. That means it applies to the necessary fund to look at the payment of salary for effective administration, augmenting and improving the level of governance. So therefore, the responsibility is vested upon the union parliament, union government, through the parliament, as well as the state. So nobody can struggle with this responsibility. But today, if we go by the approach of the state, incumbent state government, I have reasons to believe that they have some kind of probably, in other words, I have to ask them whether they intend to slowly watch, district council to become weaker and weaker, that one day people will think about its relevance. But I would like to remind our people that today the provision of 6 schedule is the only weapon, only legal and constitutional weapon given to our tribes. And having understood the importance of such constitutional weapon, our forefathers, while framing the Constitution, have appropriately ensured that that kind of provision does get enshrined in the Constitution of India. And we must understand its importance, its relevance, and we must all therefore come together. That's the reason why I say that despite what other political parties may say, my clarion call to the people of the state should be that when it comes to the election in respect of district council, in respect of electing members to take care of the affairs of the district council in consistence with the mandate of the Constitution, read 62 of the Constitution of India, we must all come together. We must think the interest of the Jack Value, put the interest of the Jack Value, put the interest of the people before anything else. That must be the resolve.
So what is the stand of the DMC regarding the 80 rules which allow non-tribal to also participate in the Garo Hills District Council? We have elected LDCs who are non-tribals, and this has been opposed widely by the NGOs from the agency.
this is a matter of discussion, and this matter must be discussed in right harmony. But I do not see that we have all along looked at this as an issue to discuss, but I think it is high time that all of us must come together and take cognizance of this concern and discuss and see how best we can address this concern. And we must understand one thing, that in view of the objective which is intended to be accomplished by virtue of the mandate of the sixth schedule of the Constitution, I think this sentiment is born out of the basic intent of the sixth schedule of the Constitution of India. Therefore, it is only necessary to, if there has been any decision which should be considered as something which requires review, it is always good to put our heads together and have a brainstorming session, so that both the intent of the sixth schedule of the Constitution of India and the resultant concern of the people as an offshoot of their understanding of the mandate of the sixth schedule of the Constitution of India, I think that has to be taken cognizance of, and therefore I call for engagement, a collective engagement. Every issue when whipped up, and these issues continue to remain as a pertinent issue, it is only appropriate and necessary for all of us. All of us means people who are involved in exercising our responsibility in our given democratic system, means all the political parties and all other freelancers as well who intend to be in politics and to be part of this vibrant democracy that we have.
So will this constant poaching on the TNC MDCs, will it affect the prospect of your party in the upcoming district council vote?
See, I am telling people, I am trying to make my mind very clear. We have to all understand that district council doesn't belong to any political, and the responsibility vested upon all the political parties who are mandated to run the district council in sync with the provision of the Constitution revolves around the interests of the people which are enshrined in the whole provision of the Constitution. The intent that is reflected in the Constitution, which is required to be achieved, and how this should be considered as, I must say, a responsibility is as good as a divine responsibility, because you're dealing with the concerns of protecting and preserving our identity, our culture, our way of life. And most important part is that being the owners of the resources. Now you look at the right over the land and resources in respect of other neighboring states in Assam. Do people have ownership over the land? But here, the thing is different. We are blessed that the land belongs to our people. Therefore, the right over the land and resources obviously need to be protected. For generations and generations, it should not be diluted. But today there are many mechanisms which is being resorted. I think that is a different topic which I will talk separately in respect to land acquisition, etc., land bank, this and that. It's a very, very dangerous trend. It will ultimately enable that kind of backdoor entry wherein the system which is being tampered upon will enable people who are eyeing our land and resources to have ownership over them, and the resultant alienation of ownership over the land by our people. It's a very dangerous trend. That's why it's time for us to put the question before the people. Does the district council belong to the people? Yes. Does the responsibility, in as far as the responsibility of each of us who have the right to franchise and elect members to take the responsibility of running the administration of district council as per the mandate of the constitution is vested upon each one of us. Yes, because it is the people who will elect the members. It is the people who have to understand that their district council belong to all of us. Therefore, the honors of responsibility of strengthening and giving the kind of power and resources which is required by the ADCs are vested upon the people. Therefore, they need to come together. Today, the government and the party in power, their actions have, with I would say that the action speaks and reflects their mind. You cannot enter into somebody's heart and know what exactly is inside his mind, but the works will speak for itself. So word speaks. Once you have the privilege of doing something and you do something, and the resultant way of doing things will reflect our mind and our heart. That's why I think it is proven beyond reasonable doubt that the political party who is presently holding the responsibility and power there has shown complete lack of responsibility and insensitivity towards dealing with the issues. And maybe this is another reason why district council today is in this kind of, I must say, situation where they are not being able to respond to their call of duty in conformity with the mandate of the constitution.
Doctor, we have seen that ED has raided IPAC office in Kolkata. We have seen in 2023, IPAC was very much here in Meghalaya, was campaigning for the TMC candidates here in Meghalaya. What do you think? Will it affect the TMC Meghalaya unit?
In as far as Meghalaya TMC unit is concerned, we are not associated with IPAC as of now. And we have decided to do so from post-2023 election for whatever reason, because we would like to depend more on the cadres at the grassroots level than any such kind of political consultant or so-called strategies, because I believe that our own way of strategizing is much more effective, and we would trust our own party grassroots workers than anybody else. The situation is different. All other states have started, all other political parties have started utilizing the services of so-called political strategists, political consultants. It's a fact. But as far as we are concerned, we think that it is important to handhold our cadres and enrich our cadres with nuances of politics and issues associated with people, confronting the people at different pockets of habitation, because issues are definitely across the state, the issues which confront the state as a whole, but also issues which are confined to certain given areas, the local issues. So therefore, there's some different way of looking at things in as far as we are concerned. But here again, I will place my observation in respect to these ED raid. The timing. Well, IPAC is a corporate body. I can understand that. But the timing of the raid. Naturally, if we are depending on a corporate house which is established to act as election strategies, and they are being assigned with the responsibility by any political party, you very well know that all the strategies which are supposed to be kept close to the chest of the strategies, they should not be available to your political adversaries. And therefore, while the elections are around the corner, in as far as West Bengal is concerned, the timing itself reflects that people have to doubt the intent, the purpose for which this particular exercise, so-called raid, has been resorted to. It could have been done long time back if there is some issue pertaining to this, or post-election, I would put it that way. Because in democracy, the sanctity of electoral process is very important for people to have the confidence in the system of our democracy. Every political party must be able to compete in the electoral battle under the situation which is considered as free and fair. Now, therefore, uh, the enabling environment to ensure a free and fair election, a level playing ground for everybody, is crucial for sustainability of democracy. Sustainability of democracy happens when people have the trust and confidence in the system as a whole. And that system also includes the process and the manner in which elections are conducted.
So what do you have to say? Uh, we have seen the state government has proposed an ILP-like provisions in the Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025 to deal with the issue of influx and illegal immigration in Meghalaya, despite passing a unanimous resolution for implementation of ILP. What do you have to say on this?
See, let me put it in my own way. See, politicians, when they don't mean what they say, then that is what you see. You know? So, different political leaders, different leaders who have the privilege of running the government have different way of doing things. Some try to do things, engage in some kind of initiative, embark upon some kind of policy decision for consuming time and allowing the time to continue to be in power. You see? Now, tell me one thing. Why was the Meghalaya Resident Safety and Security Act enacted? What is the background? And after this act was enacted unanimously in the House, where every political party which still have a circulation in the state politics were involved. But immediately after, the incumbent government formed their government in 2018, they immediately tried to discuss on the possible amendment of this MRSSA without even starting to implement. We laid out certain foundations to implement this particular mandate of the act. If you recollect, there were joint inspection of the areas where we had to establish entry-exit points. Now, entry-exit points, in as far as the act is concerned, were all referred to as facilitation center, and to be taken care of in matters of dealing with the mandate of the law, in as far as the mandate for that facilitation center is concerned. This responsibility was vested upon tourism department. Why? There are reasons. There are reasons. These whole things were discussed exhaustively at the time of formatting the whole proposed bill. We have co-authored this act. It is not that Dr. Mukul alone has authored this. It was authored by the government in consultation after exhaustive due diligence, not the shortcut way or overnight thinking process, some bureaucrat sitting and then drafting the act. No, it wasn't. It was co-authored by government with our stakeholders. And why? Why? Because today you look at what is happening in USA. In the name of immigration, what is happening? People are getting killed. You have seen that ICE member one force of ICE in America, immigration, and your customs enforcement member of that organization ended up firing a woman. Why? In spite of having stringent immigration laws, you try for a visa for USA, it will be so tough. And for a lady, unmarried lady, you will never get a visa also. That's the truth. But in spite of having such a stringent immigration law, USA, UK, go and see what is happening. Precisely because of these, our people, our stakeholders in the form of civil society organizations are constantly reminding the policymakers, yes, we should have a mechanism. In absence of mechanism, what was visible? ILP. ILP was visible because ILP is in force, is being implemented in respect of Nagaland. Now, in respect of your Manipur also, for Arunachal and Nagaland was there from before, then suddenly after the CA, whatever, the fallout of protest against CA, Manipur was given. But Meghalaya, but why is the demand for ILP? Precisely because of the is associated with uncontrolled immigration, which is definitely a matter of concern. I have given a reference of USA and UK and all the European countries. Why? Because in spite of stringent law of regulating at the entry and exit, meaning any citizen entering with a visa, what happens when the so-called immigrants with valid visas don't go back? Don't go back. This is the reason why you have so many illegal immigrants. Many of them have entered legally but overstayed and they have become illegal immigrants. That's how the law operates. But the fact is that after entering, how will you regulate their stay? That's why MRSSA is designed in such a way that in spite of having such a long porous international border with Bangladesh, and in spite of having such a long border with our neighboring state Assam, which can be the sources of entry of illegal immigrants, which is a fact, can be taken care of in a manner which fulfills our intent of protecting our people in terms of maintaining the demography of our tribes, our Khasi, Garo, Jaintia tribes, and to ensure that demographically we are not outnumbered by people. That is the reason. Now, when this law ILP is not a state subject. So I couldn't have promised to implement ILP, unlike the present chief minister, unlike the incumbent chief minister, because I know I cannot promise on behalf of government of India and I cannot take the union government for granted. And I knew that I did my homework. I tried to know whether they will agree or not. When I knew that they will not agree, then I said, okay, then let us come with some other alternative. The alternative which is given to you as per the mandate of the Constitution, in as far as the legislative jurisdiction of the state legislature is concerned. So we work on this available limited space. The limited space available in as far as the legislative jurisdiction to the state legislature is concerned. We didn't overstep, but we went as far as possible. So playing at the edge, I always used to believe playing at the edge is always good, because that is where then nobody can actually supersede you. So we played up to the level of which I can say tightrope walking, but we did do this with the involvement of all stakeholders, and we came up with this wonderful law. I say this wonderful law. In fact, yes, just a few days back, one person who is analyzing about the issues of concerns pertaining to immigration in Northeast was talking to me, and he was referring to this MRSSA. And MRSSA is so designed that once you implement, you'll know, okay, where you need to further reinforce and add certain provisions. But implement first. Today, what has happened to those identified areas which were supposed to be identified for entry-exit point, in other words, as per the law, the facilitation center? The government has lied to the people that it is because the court has said that in absence of proper guidelines, these facilitation centers should not operate. In absence of guidelines, whose job it is to give the guidelines? Whose job it is to prepare the guidelines? How the facilitation centers shall operate has to be governed by some guidelines. They didn't do their job. They cheated the people. That's why the MRSSA couldn't be implemented. Then subsequently, somebody took this MRSSA for judicial scrutiny. But this MRSSA, Meghalaya Resident Safety and Security Act 2016, have withstood the judicial scrutiny. But the proposed amendment went beyond the legislative jurisdiction of the state. That's why MHA has returned. That means you go beyond your job, beyond the mandate of the Constitution. Don't you know that when you go beyond the mandate of the Constitution, your action will become constitutionally infractious. It is. Therefore, one has to know the job to which he is empowered to, the limitation thereof. We are in a federal structure. We cannot temper upon any subject which is in the union list. Yes. Therefore, when we make law, it must be well understood by the authors of that proposed bill, which ultimately, if passed by the House, will become an act after the consent, after the assent of the Honorable Governor, that we skillfully script the law within our legislative jurisdiction so that it can always withstand any judicial scrutiny. Full stop. Once you go beyond, then that so-called bill will be sent to Government of India. Why? Because you have already overstepped. So governor cannot assent. That means indirectly the government had a mala fide intention to make this MRSSA ineffective, or wanted to put it in a cold storage by default. So by default, the MRSSA, Meghalaya Resident Safety and Security Act, became unimplementable with that proposed amendment. So the amendment has failed, but the principal act has not failed, because they wanted to amend, which goes beyond their legislative jurisdiction. I cautioned the government at the time of this exercise. They didn't listen to me. They didn't listen to the co-author. They thought they are better authors. And look at the end result. I pity their legislative competence. I pity their legislative competence. I repeat it.
Sir, but we have seen the Deputy Chief Minister was told concern regarding this